Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone, for joining me. I am enjoying these wonderful interviews from Mapex that I have on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And these go out throughout the world in these different Monday afternoon spots. It's been so great to have people join us from all these different countries. It's incredible. And today I have the wonderful opportunity to sit down with Sal Giancarelli. Sal, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You live upstate New York, right?
I do. Yep. Syracuse area.
Just in Syracuse area. And, it's kind of interesting because I always try and go back and gather a little history of some drummers so we can kind of introduce what you do to the world of drumming through this Mapex family. And Mapex, gives us the chance of being able to have this platform that allows us to literally go around the world. And this stays up on the Facebook page. Then eventually they put this onto their YouTube channel. So it kind of is a chance that it'll live forever on the internet. So it's fantastic to have you join me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is great.
Now, I want you to fill me in, just so I get to understand too. Where did it begin for you? Where did drumming enter your world? How the hell did a farm boy up in the upstate New York start to get involved in playing drums?
When our elementary school and high school obviously were two different buildings, and then the high school jazz ensemble used to come down to the elementary school, and they used to do performances, and all the classes would gather in the gym, and I just was so fixated on that sound. And probably around third grade, I think between first and third grade, his name was James Marshall, great drummer, and he was the drummer for the jazz ensemble. And I was able to get his drumstick. And since then, it's just like, I'm never letting this thing go. So, yeah, actually, it's probably where it all started right there. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really amazing when I speak to people specifically throughout the States, how influential the school music program was, their upbringing and their connection to music.
Yes. Yep.
And unfortunately, now we're starting to lose a lot of these programs, just because of not having the funds to be able to keep it going. But it really was helpful. Yeah. So did you get involved with the school band at some point?
Absolutely. I was involved in the whole music program all the way through your instrument, and I chose drums, and I just stuck with it ever since. So, got involved with all the, it's the all county snare drum, things, the area all state jazz ensemble, area all state jazz ensemble was it was a great experience. So I stuck with it all the way through. And I think my teacher, it's kind of cool that you mentioned that the connection to school programs. My teacher, he, came to my parents and just said, "Hey, you need to seek out private lessons. I want him to, succeed. I can't go any further." And so I thought that was very, very cool. And so in combination with private lessons and high school, it was a good experience. So it kept me going.
So the school music teacher saw your ability, saw your interest, and he was not a drummer.
Yep, right, correct.
So a lot of the music band, the whole music band program, these guys are really just, they're just, band teachers that need to understand all instruments. So, so did you find a local teacher in the area?
Yes. Yep. His name was Dick Howard. Yep. Very good teacher. Yep.
And you went there about how old?
Oh, I think it was in 7th grade. I think 7th grade. I probably started 7th or 8th grade. I started privately.
So you're 12, 13 years old, and now you're starting to take some lessons.
Yes. Yep. And a little side story though. This is kind of funny because we had music in the house, and we were listening to 8-track tapes and 45s. And so, that's when the air drumming started. And I was listening to Kiss Alive, and the God of Thunder drum solo with Peter Criss, or songs of Kiss at the time. And then when I was in high school, I was in the music room and I started playing started just playing this, these basic beat. And then that's when the teacher came out, and he was just like, where did you learn how to do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of like, I'm hearing it. I see it, it was kind of cool. It's and that's where the private lesson, he's like, okay, we need to get you into private lessons,
Well, okay. Is there anybody else in your family that is musically inclined?
Yeah. My mother was, she was involved in theater since she was a kid, and eventually went into ballroom dancing. And so rhythm and music and feel, all was all part of it in the family. They didn't play instruments, but my father, every Sunday morning we'd slap on the Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, he'd make pancakes. And we would just, it was a cool tradition, so it was great to get all different kinds of exposure to all different kinds of music. They used to pull me out of bed as a kid. They'd come upstairs. We'd be in bed about 7, 8 o'clock, and my mother would come up and she'd be like, Sal, come on, and come down. And PBS was airing Gene Krupa. So they pull me down, just for like 15 minutes to watch. Okay, get back up to bed. So some cool family experiences like that. Yeah.
Boy, how beautiful. I think of my Italian family roots, and similar things happened. They were excited about music, and they wanted us to be involved with music, and that's fantastic. So you mentioned Gene Krupa. So Gene Krupa in the early days became someone that, somewhat influenced you then, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Gene was, there was a lot of Gene on PBS at the time. Yeah. And I did see, Louis Bellson, Buddy Rich, obviously, I got exposed to all those guys, and it was a good exposure. I'm thankful that happened, that I was exposed to a beginning, that I had a starting point, and then kind of grew as I got older.
Yeah. Well, what a great springboard, because those players, really are. And again, you're talking about Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich, Louis Bellson, those three players. There's nothing like those players that has you using that. When you're playing with Stained, that's a whole different world of genre, what it is. But yet you were inspired and pulled from their playing. That was this is really great. And, just so you know, John Bonham, who I did not meet, who we just, celebrated on September 25th, his 40th anniversary of his death.
Yeah.
John Bonham, I met John Bonham's teacher in the UK, and he said, John's two favorite drummers were Buddy Rich and Joe Morello.
Oh, wow.
So when you think about those jazz influences, even though Bonham, you don't necessarily think of Joe Morello or Buddy Rich is playing, Bonham had the foresight of being able to, for lack of a better term, steal from these great artists.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what you have done.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
So in that part, so now you're taking lessons. So were you working on rudiments or reading out of certain books?
Yeah. I think we all, when I went to private lessons with Dick Howard, that's where I got introduced to the syncopation book, modern techniques for it's the jazz. I can't remember the author.
I'm going to tell you what the book of who the author is.
I know you grabbed it, right? That's the one. Yeah. Yeah.
Techniques for the modern room by Jim Chapin. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we worked a lot. Out of that. I think what I was listening to at the time was, in that rock kind of direction, because it was, the Led Zeppelin or the Three Dog Night was a great one for me. And, and so I'm glad that, that Dick Howard stuck with it. Cause I think sometimes the most important things that you have to practice all the things that you don't want to practice, and I'm glad that he stuck, with that direction. So we worked a lot out of those two books, and it really helped the independence, and it helped me understand or interpreting drum parts from all different types of music. Listening.
Absolutely. So is Dick still around? Is he still around near you?
No, he he passed.
Hmm.
Or did he? You know what? I haven't seen. I'm going to embarrass myself right now, but I don't know. I haven't seen or spoken to him in many years, but he was the premier drum teacher in the area. So
that is fantastic. Well, it sounds like you had a good fundamental foundation of beginning.
Absolutely, yeah.
That really is the kick. So now you're playing. You're at this point where you're starting to meet some musicians and get together and play.
Yep. Had high school friends. My parents were really accepting of my love for drums, and my bedroom just was a full-blown jam space all throughout high school. And I had many friends over, many people jamming, lots of times, different little side groups formed all the time. It was a good time. So yeah, I was getting into friends and creating things. It was great.
Well, it's amazing the power of the internet and what we have here. I mean, and I've watched some of the videos of you playing with Stained, and it's just you're a powerful, strong player, and you're right in the pocket when you play, and you can see every note you're playing you're filled with deep commitment and emotion in the process. So and which is absolutely fantastic. We have people that are joining us from here. I mean, my gosh, this is here's Jeff Towers, who's from Canada.
Okay.
We have John Owens, who's a student of mine from North Carolina.
Oh, great.
There's another student of mine, Arthur, who's from Ufa, Russia right now.
Oh, wow.
So we got some people that are joining us here. Carlos Goodman, who is a phenomenal drummer and player and drum tech for some of the greatest drummers in the world. He's in Miami area. He's joined us.
Oh, fantastic.
Look at this. Mapex, Italy is here. And we have, this is Batoco from Mexico.
Wow.
So already,
world.
already, Sal, this is what I love about the fact of just getting word out to more of what you're doing and the powerful message that you're sending from playing drums. So now you're jamming with these different bands, you're having some fun, you're doing your thing. When did you think it started to get more serious?
Probably after high school. There was a trio that was formed amongst high school friends, and we decided to move. We moved into Massachusetts, and we wanted to pursue music. We were all original band at the time, and so right in there, right in the early '90s, I kind of knew that it was something I wanted to give a shot. I wanted to just give it a shot and get out there to see what would happen. So
you start playing with this band. You're now living in the Boston area. Were there gigs you were doing? Was there networking you were doing at the time?
Yeah, actually. So here's where like the world of Stained actually enters, because we were just north of Springfield. Actually, it was Northampton, Massachusetts.
I know that area.
Yeah, great areas. A lot of 5 college circuit in there, and we spent some time just doing the New England thing. Glad we got a chance, to go down to New York to play CBGBs and a few places in Boston and things like that. That was a lot of fun. And but we now Stained is from Springfield, and they were a cover band at the time. And so I'd spent about 4 or 5 years there with these two guys in this band, and we ended up seeing bands like Godsmack, bands like Stained, and they were cover bands at the time. Shadows Fall was another metal band that made it through.
Jason Bittner, for sure.
Jason Bittner, exactly, yeah. So that's kind of how it connected, and we kind of started friends of friends. We just kind of, getting involved in circles of friends, and eventually meeting the Stained guys themselves. So I'm going to cover band shows of theirs at the time.
How fantastic! So they were doing covers of what? They were doing covers of like Rage Against the Machine, kind of like something like that, right?
Yeah, modern grunge. 90s grunge, Chains and things like that, and plethora of things. But it was in the rock and heavy rock area.
So were you drawn to that kind of music?
Yeah, I am. There's, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I'm drawn to a lot, but I think that my passion is in rock. Um,
Yeah.
so, although I've played others. I love playing. I mean, I guess at this point in my life, I equally love playing all different kinds of things.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I was drawn to that world about then. So,
So if and I had asked you this earlier before we even got on.
yeah.
Name 5 drummers that influenced you in the journey. And you already mentioned Gene Krupa. You
Yep.
mentioned Peter Criss
Yep.
from Kiss. Who else would you say?
Peter Criss. Where did we go from Peter Criss?
Vinny?
Yeah, Vinny. Vinny. Vinny came to me actually. My parents got me the Buddy Rich Memorial Scholarship Concert VHSs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the trio that Dave Weckl and Steve Gadd and Vinny did.
How deep was that?
Oh my gosh, I just mind blowing. So at that point, I knew of Vinny before that, but at that point, that's when I really kind of started following him, and then I absolutely. I don't know, I just absolutely love his taste and what he does within a song. Now, Sting was the records that he did with Sting is just, I couldn't stop listening to him because of him. It was incredible.
You know, Vinny's one of the few people that we could just say Vinny.
Yeah, exactly.
You just say Vinny, and everyone just kind of knows it's Vinny Colaiuta.
Yeah,
a phenomenal drummer who was originally from Pennsylvania. Studied in incredibly, deep as far as what he has done. Moved out to LA and just became this incredible legend, and still is at the forefront of doing what he does. And brilliant player. So, Vince, so now you're bringing companies like Vinny. Who I think you mentioned, was it Danny Carey? You mentioned
Danny Carey. Danny Carey was a kind of I got that was kind of like the next chapter.
Yeah.
Danny Carey really. I don't know. He really set the stage for me in terms of, man, what he does for and with the song,
yeah.
especially in their the complex arrangements and length of tunes that they have. It was mind blowing. The independence that he has, that he brought into a hard rock or world. It was mind blowing to me. I really enjoy everything that he does and creates for his songs.
Boy, even the latest stuff that Tool has out now is just so, it's just so deep. I had a chance to perform with Danny several years ago in Florida at a big drum festival, and he's just a great guy, a brilliant drummer, and just sits down and just takes complete control of the instrument and takes it to another level. So at that point, were you listening to Tool? Was that someone that was being?
Tool, very, very big influence. At the time, for sure. I couldn't stop listening to what he was. How it is with Danny. It'll take you a week just to figure out a drum fill or figure out a part of a song. Listening to it for a very long time.
Oh, Danny is listen, I always say, Danny should be studied.
Yeah,
it really is. He's got such a deep musical sense to himself. Plus having insane control over the instrument of modern drum set.
Yes.
On top of that, and the band plays. My God, they play stuff that listen. It takes a while just to listen to the song to even understand what the hell the song is about.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
Nevertheless, trying to take it apart and figure out what the hell Danny's doing.
Right. Absolutely. It's great.
That is great. So then the fifth one you mentioned was Terry Bozio.
Yes. Yep. Terry blew my mind. I have his I have it on VHS. His it's a 3-part VHS of his whole, I think it was his whole beginning to this whole journey of his musical drumming.
Yeah.
His independence. He just went zip and just cut himself in 4, and next thing you know, he's doing these pieces. It was that was amazing to me.
Terry is an amazingly studied musician.
Yeah.
In all styles of music. I mean, from classical to jazz to bebop to early rock to British invasion to fusion to funk. I mean, you name it. And Bozio has ownership of any of those areas.
Yeah.
And I had the chance of performing many, many different clinic tours with Terry and with his huge kit.
Yeah.
And that kit, you know, he plays, first of all, every drum and cymbal on that kit is there for a reason, for the orchestration that he hears in his head.
Yeah.
And how he plays. And Terry, you know, listen, from the Zappa influence, you know, you talk about, listen, you got a couple of guys, you know, between Vinny and Bozio, you got a couple of guys from the Zappa school of learning that once they get into your mind, it infects us with a whole nother virus that is way deeper than what we're experiencing right now, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's amazing. So did you ever, you know, there was a question here. I want to pull this up here. Carlos Goodman has said, did you ever get a chance to meet and get to know any of the influential drummers that you grew up with? And what did you learn after getting to know them? Did you ever meet any of these guys?
I have not, actually. I have not, unfortunately, but and that's okay. That's okay.
You're still young. There's plenty of time for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I do have to say, like, you know, the drumming world's just a community of drummers, and it's being ever since my traveling, getting out and traveling, I have met, so just talking about meeting people. I've met so many just great drummers that are just good people care about what they do. I think recently I got to I was able to take a phone call. We've met obviously a couple of times, but Ray Luzier from Korn, who's right in, you know, an amazing guy, loves his craft. He's so responsible to his craft, you know, a great family. And so, you know, I've got to meet guys like that, you know, along the way. And it's just great. It's great to have a world out there of guys like that.
Oh, it really is. And Ray Luzier is another one of those drummers that I was able to interview on the Sessions panel.
Yeah, awesome.
So I tell guys, if you get a chance, go listen to Ray's story. Ray also in Pennsylvania grew up on a farm.
Yeah, that's right. We had to just talk about that. Yeah.
So I think what I got a kick out of the fact that here you are, you want to play drums, but your family is involved and owns this farm. So you have to kind of work on the farm to make money to fund your drumming addiction.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one thing about my parents that I'm so thankful for. They were, I think it was that point in time where, okay, it's time for a drum kit. But, you know, we'll go shopping, we'll look for it. But if you want one, you know, you're going to get your butt down to the farm. And you know, you're going to work. I'll help you save. You know, that's where that's where, you know, that's a big life lesson. We're going to help you save. We're going to help you put money away. We're going to help you. I want you to know the feeling of what it's like to be able to, you know, work hard and reward yourself. And that's what happened. I used to do it every year. And to build my kit, I wanted a cymbal one year. That's what I saved for. I wanted to add drums. That's what I saved for. And it's just kind of ongoing from there. So great thing.
What were some of the things you had to do on the farm to do this year? I want the people to understand the message that none of this stuff has been handed to us on a silver platter. You have to go out there and work your tail off.
Yeah. So
what kind of farm was it?
Okay. Well, it's all fruits and vegetables, and there was kind of two sides to it. I'll talk about the vegetables side of it. So we harvested green peas and beans and corn for Green Giant and Libby's. It was the canning, and there's a canning facility or factory here in New York State. Okay. And so we traveled central and a little bit of western New York. But it is a 7-day a week, 80, 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one side. You're out in the fields and you're just harvesting and loading trucks and harvesting and loading trucks. Very long days. Have to it's a very long day of focus. So that was one side of it, which was pretty intense.
So people have to understand that, you're putting in these hours and you're trying, but meanwhile you have the love for music.
Yeah.
How'd you put time into practicing? Where'd that squeeze in?
Well, that was one of those things where you had to say, well, I worked for, I worked for 12 hours. So I got 6 days that I just worked 15 hours straight. And then I know I got a 12-hour day coming up. So am I going to go to bed, or am I going to put my butt behind that drum kit and play? And so, I was willing to, I guess, you got to be willing to sacrifice the hours to, get behind that kit, even though, you were working all of that. But yeah, that's just, I don't think it was a question in your mind. I think when you latch onto, an instrument, or you have that interest, when you latch onto it, nothing's going to get in your way, and I think that's the kind of mentality. Was like, I don't care that I just work 15 hours. I'm going to go and practice for an hour, or, sacrifice an hour of sleep to do what I love, so.
This is where we discuss the qualities of discipline. That, when people want to try and understand what success is, there has to be certain qualities that are inside our personality that can be developed. That are words like discipline. Discipline means self-control. Words like perseverance, which means you never give up.
Yeah.
Words like dedication or commitment, which is just what you said. You came home from a 12-hour day and you looked at those drums and said, man, I'm going to hop on these drums and play for a few hours. So that was this endless amount of enthusiasm that you had to learn.
Yeah.
And that's why eventually you hooked up with a great band like Stained, which has taken up to a whole other level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go back. So let's go back to the Boston area now. So you're in Boston.
Yeah. Yep.
Now you're going out and you're going to hear the band Stained. So how'd you make the connection with them? I think you first started to tech for them.
Yeah, I did start the tech for them, and it just was a simple circle of friends. So I just happened to meet a circle of friends that I got to give some props to two longtime friends of mine, obviously, Jeff Gilmer and Pete Rickey. Yeah. They were the two original crew members for Stained. Even they were working with them in the cover band days. So Stained was getting very, very popular at the time, as a cover band, drawing 1,000, 1,500 people sometimes. And Jeff and Pete were there. And Jeff and Pete just so happened to be part of that circle of friends. So we got to meet them, became friends, would hang out occasionally. And obviously Jeff would always, Jeff worked at a club called the Infinity that bands would play, with that one spot in Springfield that, bands would play. And he was front of house engineer for then. And, he would always mix the trio that I played with, and Shadows Fall, and, the bands that would come through and Stained. Yeah. So fast forward a little bit, it was because of them. Stained had got their record contract, I believe, in 1998. And in about 1999, they were ready to bring on a drum tech. And I was down at the farm, actually, helping the family out. And my younger brother comes screaming into the, driving into the farm. And he's like, you got to call. And mind you, we don't have cell phones or anything like that. They were just, So, and he comes down, he's like, you got to call Pete. He wants you to be the drum tech for Stained, and it was funny because I'm excited, but I had to calm him down. So, yeah. So yeah, just a circle of friends. And then voila, it kind of morphed into working for them. And Pete said, hey, meet us in Albany, come out for a couple of weeks just to see if you would like it. Right. And then 20 years later, here I am. So who was playing drums in the early days, as far as when you were teching for them? John Wysocki was the original drummer. Oh, John was it? Wow. Okay. Fantastic. John, a good player. Yeah. Yep. John was great. John had great taste for the songs. Definitely. Yeah. So you hear the band. So when did it happen so now you start teching for them? Yes. Yep. You're hitting the road. What was that like? Yeah. It was fantastic. It was a lot, it was a whole new education, going out and traveling and learning how to sleep on a bus, just learning the ropes, learning ropes. Because when I showed up in Albany, it was the Family Values Tour in 1999, and
Right.
they went on, first, and you're just right into the big show, and yeah, I was nervous. I was nervous. I didn't want to, you're around some of the titans of the industry in terms of crew members.
Yeah.
And kind of tippy-toeing around and paying attention and learning what to do, learning what not to do. Yeah. So
you're able to hear, like you mentioned, Shadow Falls. I mean, Jason Bittner is a phenomenal drummer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who is very influential. I just heard Jason perform. There's a festival that Modern Drummer put on. Awesome. That was a tribute to Neil Peart.
Yes.
And I mentioned everyone, if you go to moderndrummer.com, you can still buy your ticket. All the proceeds goes towards a scholarship for the Cancer Foundation for Neil Peart's name.
Awesome.
And we lost Neil earlier this year. And Jason, not only did he play great on the festival, but he also gave us a little tour of his Neil Peart drum set collection that he has.
Wow.
Basically, he's got like 4 drum sets of exact duplicates of different periods of Neil Peart. It was just fantastic. So you had a chance to hear these drums play. So now you're hearing like someone like Jason play. You're starting to hear some serious players on this tour.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So how is that influencing you?
Well, watching, I think the biggest influence is watching how they carry themselves on tour. Like I said, their responsibility to their warm up, their health, exercise, staying in shape when they're on, when they're on the road. And it was, that was great. That was great. And that made an impact on me, especially moving from drum tech to drummer. So seeing guys like Jason or Ray, Chad Zaligo was a good friend of mine who was playing with Breaking Benjamin at the time. Fantastic drummer, always keeping up with his craft. So it's great to see all those guys.
So these guys are backstage either warming up or on a pad or whatever they're doing to maintain their chops. So you're starting to see the dedication that these guys had to really kind of prepare themselves.
Absolutely.
So when did it come down to the point where you then became playing drums with Staind?
I think it was 2011. Just went through some complications, and once the drumming spot was open, Will Hunt actually came in just to kind of they were launching a new record at the time, and they needed to do some shows, and so Will Hunt came in, but Will is drumming for Evanescence at the time, and still to this day he's their main guy, and so he filled in for a couple of shows to get the record launched, and then I think there was a break, and I believe he went back to Evanescence, and the guitar player Mike Mushak from Staind just called me and said, hey, he's like, I know you know the songs. He's like, let's go out. And, we did a 2 or 3 week run, and it was great. It was, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad they stuck with me. It was interesting because even though you're on stage as a drum tech and you're there and you can see the crowd and everything, it's still different than sitting in that seat,
You bet your tail, man. When you have the responsibility to drive that band, there's no dozing off for a few seconds.
No, and I remember. So this was, I think, the best example was a few shows in. I'm sort of getting used to it, and you do want to perform. And seeing the crowds is it's just amazing, and you want to visually be there for them too. And so I was paying attention a little too much to that, and then you're just like, oh man, are we in the first verse or the second verse? So just by chance, I was lucky enough, just by chance, I rolled out of the fill and then into the chorus, and it was the right thing. And I'm like, oh, I know where I am, I am right now. It's just one of those lessons, okay, reel it in for a couple of weeks, concentrate, focus, plan, get these parts, get the song, get the flow, get the feel down. And then you can then start slowly, communicating with your audience over time, but that was, I'll never forget that moment.
Well, it gets pretty intense. I had a panel with Vinny Colaiuta, and one of the lines he said was, "Thought is the enemy of flow."
Oh, fantastic.
And when you think about that, when you're on stage, and once we begin to think where we are or what's happening outside, we remove ourselves from the now, from the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. And we take ourselves out of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're out of the music for that nanosecond, like you said, you don't know where you are or what's going on. It's a little bit of a scary, almost like an out-of-body experience. We're like, oh, there's panicking going on. So it really is about staying inside that song, every single song for every single show at every different venue.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agreed. Yeah. Yep. Took a while to get there, but it got there.
Yeah. So with the songs, I mean, from having tech, you kind of knew a lot of the songs then, right?
Yeah. Quite a bit. So it was, knowing the songs was an easy transition. It was just being in the seat and performing, and knowing what that was like. Took that tour. It was good tour to gather that.
So when that happened, you had to have your drum set shipped out to that gig at that point, or did you have a chance to rehearse with the band a little bit, or how that?
We went through rehearsal. Yeah, we did some rehearsals, and especially with the new record being out, there were new songs. So obviously, I knew all the old songs. There's new songs, and I'm thankful the guys got together because we went in stages. Mike and I just got together on our own for a little bit. Mike's the guitar player, and we kind of went and through a little bit of detailed parts here and there of certain parts and certain things that John was doing to make sure that I did. And then then John came in, Johnny April, bass player, and then Aaron. Then we did did a couple days rehearsal and then went out. So yeah.
The band has got some great musicians in it, and I got to tell you something. From what I've heard of the band, it's a strong sound, and you guys blend. You have such a real obvious connection with all of you. That's really beautiful to hear.
Yeah, it's great. The guys are. You're right. Johnny April's a sneaky good bass player.
Yeah.
That guy. He's just his taste in what he does is great. Mike has such a signature. He has a signature style and signature instrument is 7 strings and his alternate tunings. It kind of force him out of a little bit of normalcy. To force a little bit of creativeness, I think, and I think that was really cool that he did that. And obviously, you can't. Aaron's voice is pretty unmistakable, I think.
It really is. It's got this phenomenal sound that is distinctive of many of the bands like Tool or Pantera or Machine. He's got that kind of sound.
Yeah.
That really allows the blending of his voice with the band really is beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He can. It's great that he can just yell and scream with the best of them, but he can just be soft and melodic and beautiful. At the same time, it's obviously it's an excellent blend of stuff.
And who does the writing in the band?
Mike. I think Mike. All of them. I think all of them. It's kind of a process. Mike will start. Mike just has a library. He's constantly playing guitar and writing riffs and pieces, and giving them to Johnny or giving them to Aaron. And Aaron usually kind of goes through and kind of picks out. Obviously picks out riffs and ideas that he feels that he can put something over.
Right.
So yeah, it's a nice collaboration.
Boy, that really is fantastic to hear what you guys have done. So the band. So now that COVID has hit, everyone has been kind of challenged. I'm sure you had tours lined up. What's happening? What's happening right now with the band? You guys are you still communicating with each other? Are there any virtual rehearsals, tunes that are written? What's going on?
There's some communication. There's right now, as you can see, the kit is mic'd, so I do have some sessions that I've tracked to. Just did some arrangement too that I'll be sending off. So it's kind of like a writing mode right now. Not too much, but it's still there. So it's a slow process, but it'll get there. So I know that for me, like I actually work. I have a full-time job when I'm home. So I do work a lot. So in between time, I'll try to track or try to get some playing in and things like that. I know that Mike has, his family, Aaron has his family. Yeah. So obviously during this time, it's important to, that's the most important thing. So, but there are sessions and just kind of tracking a few things here and there. So.
Well, that's really fantastic. Let's talk about the kit for a second now. You got a Saturn V back there, right?
Yep, Saturn V.
And how long have you been with Mapex?
I joined last year. Oh, I actually joined right after NAMM, Summer NAMM in Nashville.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so here's one of the great things. Now, we know Mark Bennett is our artist relations guy.
Yeah.
Mark was my very first drum tech. Yes.
Yeah. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mark was my very first drum tech. And I love that guy. Such a good dude. And he was involved at the time. And I don't know, it just kind of communicated, and I just kind of liked what, I liked what Mapex has. I don't know, everything from the functionality of their drums to the finishes, to the sizes, everything just kind of just sits perfectly for me. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I've been with the company for many, many years, and to see them evolve and get involved. And it's always the people behind the company. When I got involved many years ago, it was with Joe Hibbs, who was a wonderful artist relations person. Joe passed away a few years ago. Yeah. And then as Mark came into play and all the people that have been involved at that time, when Bob Terry was involved, and of course, Jeff Mulvihill and his guys, and Bob Terry actually has joined us here. He said, hello, guys. We're here. So Bob's out in the West Coast joining us. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
So
Bob is who I saw at NAMM. Who I communicated with, and I went to see him, and it was a good time.
And that began the journey. So now here you are. So talk about the kit that you have back there. I want you to talk about the kit that you have and the sizes that you have. And you're all mic'd up. What kind of mics you got on there?
I have SE Electronics microphones.
I use them also. I've got them also on my kit back here.
Yeah.
SE Electronics, great guys. I deal with Tony at SE Electronics.
Yeah.
And, great mics, the overheads, the mics, the bass, everything. It just sounds great. So talk about your kit. I'm going to pull myself out of it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So here we go. It's as Dom said, it was a Saturn V with a cherry mist fade on it. I have a 22-inch by 18-inch kick drum. I have 10, 12, 14, 18 for the floor toms, and I went with a 14 by 14 and an 18 by 16. I love a very, very resolute floor tom. I just love that low, deep. Whenever I'm rolling around the kit, especially coming out of a verse, going into a chorus, I love to have that nice resolute note. So that's why I chose the 18, and it is just mind-blowingly huge. So it was really, really nice drum. So for snare drums, I've got the 5.5 by 14 brass cat that I'm using right now. I'm using to track with that right now. I also have the Cherry Bomb, I believe, back there. I love that drum. I use it's an all mahogany shell, and I love to use that live. I used that one live on the Stain shows that we did last year in 2019. just has it's deep, but it has a bark that really cuts through, and I think that kind of suits Stain's music too. So I'm looking forward to recording with that as well. And I think I have a nice little 12-inch fastback over there as a side snare drum. I'm kind of experimenting with side snare drum right now. So yeah, that's the kit. I love the way it sounds. Love the bearing edges. I've had these heads on for a long time. The heads are Evans EC2s. And I've had the heads on for a long time, and because the bearing edge, they just stay in tune. So that's an awesome feature of the kits. So there you have it. There's the kit.
What a beautiful kit. And it's kind of funny with Mapex. I've got behind me, I've got my Saturn V here.
Yep.
I've got a Saturn 4.
Nice, yeah.
And which I've had in here, which my students play on, and I'm in here with the studio, and it's really kind of a fun adventure. Not only do the shells, just are so easy to tune, but I mean, what I get a kick out of the fact that is that the hardware is equally great to work with. That I've got the ease of being able to put cymbals anywhere I want because of the flexibility of just the mount movement is pretty amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. All the as you see, all of the I love the rack stands. You're right. The rack stands, they're amazing. I think what I love is being on tour, and which is interesting because the years that I've toured, I've been fortunate enough to be able to build drum kits on risers.
Nice.
And have them bolt to the risers and roll into the truck. Nice. And the last shows that we did, because of our set, we had to tear down and set up, each night. So for my tech there, all of the memory locks for everything.
Yeah.
The ruler markers on the stands that they have on the sides of the stands for and your kick drum legs. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Such awesome hardware.
Really well thought out. And are you using the Falcon pedals and the Falcon hi-hat?
I am. Yeah. I love that. I love that pedal.
I was a part of the design team with the Falcon double pedal and the pedal and then the hi-hat. We came out with the Falcon pedals first and worked on those. And I kept on saying we wanted to have a smaller blueprint. So, some of the pedals, they have a much wider floor base.
Yes.
And it really is this wide with the pedals on it. So I wanted the floor base to be smaller. Mm-hmm. And with less of a blueprint, so you can bring the pedals closer together. Yes. But I wanted the metal thicker.
Yeah.
So we kind of made up for it. So the pedal to me feels fantastic. And then about a year later, we then designed the Falcon two-legged hi-hat stand.
Yeah.
That I think is just easily the best two-legged stand on the market. It's just so secure and just so strong.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So we got the so snare drum wise. Have you been privy to some of the new snare drums that have come out?
I have. I can't wait. I'm a huge fan of aluminum and bronze.
Nice.
The atomizer, I believe, is the aluminum. I can't wait to I can't wait to hit that thing.
I had a chance at this last NAMM show to go by and see the new gear, and it blew me away. The creativity. Yeah. At several different levels. All the snare drums sound fantastic.
Yes.
And they had them all set up and tuned up. And I played all, like 15, 20 of them that were there. They all sounded different.
Yeah.
Which was so great. And then I had a chance to the Evolution kit, the new Saturn Evolution.
Beautiful.
The Birch, what a fantastic kit. And I was actually going to perform at Drumeo after NAMM show. So they shipped out that set to Drumeo, and I played it at their big festival of what they did. It was so fantastic. What a great kit. So they're on top. And then that's not even talking about Russ Miller.
I know. Yeah.
Out of the mind of Russ Miller. This is like incredible. So I love the enthusiasm of the company to be inventive about it, to go out there and kind of create with it, just to support the artists where they are. It really is fantastic.
It is. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I couldn't, the communication and the support that I've been given by Jeff and Bob and Mark and the staff there has been just incredible. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So now Stained, you got this fantastic, position with Stained, but then it was the Santa Sonia. What happened with that? How'd you hook up with that band?
Yes, Saint Asonia actually is one of the creators is Mike Mushak from Stained.
Oh, interesting.
And yes, he teamed up with Adam Gontier, who was the former lead singer of 3 Days Grace.
Right.
And another fantastic singer. Just another great combination. A nice, unique guitar player, another voice, unmistakable voice.
Yeah.
So and then that was a great experience. Got a chance to record their record, to do that. And obviously, with this year, we're not touring, but this year, Saint Asonia and Stained, I believe, had conflicting schedules. So Cody Watkins. So shout out to Cody. He is their drummer now.
Nice.
Great dude. He was, we did one show. He actually came out and texted for me for that show. So, so Cody, hats off to you. So the band and
good for him. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it seems like you're in this clique of this really great people, great musicians, great songs. You've got this real interesting little tribe that you have that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. It's definitely, yes, it's just great guys, that just love music and just want to keep going with it. It's good to see that. Good to be involved with it.
Nice. So is there anything that you're doing now during this pandemic? And everybody's been challenged with what it is. I used to travel, 10 to 15 countries a year.
Yeah.
Now that I'm home, the advantage of it is that I'm performing and teaching and still doing it from my studio. And if anything, I'm busier now than ever before. And I removed all the insane traveling out of the picture. So now I'm sleeping in my own bed every night, which is very rare to have in our lives that we have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you do? Is there anything that you're working on during this time that you may have, with this pandemic?
Yeah, I've been, like I mentioned before, I've been working hard. Just a little side note, I do work in the golf industry when I don't tour. So I'm very thankful. Shout out to TaylorMade. Shout out to Impact Snap. They're my two guys that they've been able to give me a job since we've been gone. But drumming wise, touring a lot as a tech, because I never really got a chance to play. The only time that we would get a chance to play was, sound checking, the drum kit. And then, I'd carry some sticks and a pad on the road. Yeah. And I think when I got the job with Stained, I actually went to see 2 local teachers here in Syracuse, 2 great teachers. Right. And just to stimulate the learning and the desire to get back up on the horse and keep going. And so I've just been working on everything from just technique and posture. Posture is a big thing for me. Nice. I'm fighting a pinched nerve right now, so I got to trying to work on the posture thing a lot. Just really practicing, trying to do some new things. I want to give a shout out to Mike Johnston. He said something that was cool. It was, there's nothing wrong with improving what you already know, and then expanding on that. Mm-hmm. So, because I needed that launch pad. Mm-hmm. So I was just practicing. I was practicing things that I already knew how to play, but I was like, how can I do this better? And then just kind of up in the level. And then once you establish that, I kind of, took it to the next level of bringing new things in, new techniques. And that's what I've been working on so far. So.
Boy, fantastic. It sounds like you're still actively busy in cranking this all up, and you are still, as into it as ever. And when do you think that the band, I mean, we don't know what the story will be, but I guess next year, a lot of the touring, when the world gets back to allowing musicians to tour, you'll hit the road again hard.
Yep. Our schedule this year, I just think kind of got just lifted off of 2020 and just got put on to 2021. So, So, and then hopefully we'll be able to expand from there too. So.
Well, it's kind of crazy to see how this world has changed so fast in the challenges that every country, I mean, all of my interviews that I do worldwide, no matter where they are on this corner of this planet, are challenged with what we're doing. So we've had to think way out of the box as far as what we need to do to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I'm thankful for, this type of technology and, adapt and overcome, and I think that that's even, even in the case that you're doing now, I think it's amazing what you're doing. You're still able to do what you do just in a different way. And so, adaptation, you overcame what's going on in the world and still able to do, what you're doing. I think that's great to see a lot of people do that in the world.
Well, and I think what's happened is there are two ways to look at it. That you can complain about it and say, oh, woe always me, and be the victim, or you can embrace the fact that technology is out there and there could be ways of doing it. Now, I've been teaching online probably before anybody else for the past 25 years.
Sure, yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time. I've had cameras in my studio, so to me, the changeover was not a big deal. All of my students just went online. Now, it was kind of interesting just to kind of see the fact that, just the fact that there is a way of being able to reach people globally. What we're doing here, you are in your studio. You're able to record certain things, send the files over. This is kind of where we are right now in this. Listen, we're in the 21st century. Bring it on. This is what we have now, and all these techniques that we have. I mean, it's really just so great to see. I got one more question I want to throw up here from Carlos Goodman. Has your setup changed since you started? What has evolved in your setup?
The answer to that question is yes. I think that I have a knack of setting up according to the music that I'm playing sometimes. And obviously what you see here is four stained. I started as a five piece, had the rototoms, had the whole 9 yards, and then I just, as we obviously move through our career or move through time, we see what other guys are doing, and we take hints from here and take hints from there and evolve your setup now. So yeah, the biggest thing for me now, the setup is ergonomics. Ergonomics for me is getting it comfortable. I think I'm at that point now, and it's been really working for me.
Well, that is fantastic. But it's just so great that you're continuing to research and grow and change. Listen, Sal, you're doing it. You're making it happen. You are continuing to move forward. 2021 is going to open up a whole nother world of being able for people to get out there and see you again and what you're doing. Wait till Bennett gets you some of these snare drums. Oh my God. You're going to freak out how great these drums are and what they're making and what they're doing. And the fact that Mapex allows us to have this chance of being able to showcase players like yourself around the world. I mean, we've got people from, Bob Terry, Mark Bennett. I see their names here. We've got Elmer Flores from Maryland. We've got people from literally around the world. I mean, Frank Perry just joined us here. Frank Perry's another phenomenal drummer here in the New York, Long Island area. He's got a fantastic drummer and former student of mine. These guys are all on it. So we've got some real serious followers, Sal. So
that's amazing.
Responsibility is to keep this freaking thing going.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's amazing. Hello, world. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Wow.
Pretty crazy, right? From Russia to Europe to the U.S. It's pretty powerful in just this adventure. Well, thank you so much. You've done great. Thank you, Mapex, so much for having this opportunity to kind of come by here. You did great. This will be put onto the Mapex YouTube channel also. It's on Facebook now, so that'll be happening. So we'll spread the word. We'll share it around, and we'll keep this going. Sal, thank you so much. Safe travels and stay well, all right?
Thank you, Dom. Thank you very much.
Thanks.